8 Things the Game Doesn't Tell You. As a faithful remaster of the original Oblivion 2006, The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion Remastered is quite a well-understood game. What secrets it holds have long been discovered, as in terms of gameplay, it doesn't really do anything majorly different, with a few exceptions. Having said that, for quite a large number of people, Oblivion Remastered is their very first foray into the lands of Cyrodiil and the Imperial City. This list is mostly meant for these newcomers, with a few interesting tidbits that even veterans may find useful.
Please excuse any mispronunciations by TTS, the English TTS has trouble with non-English words. But, if you watch Zentria, you should be fine. Warning, warning. This article may contain spoilers. This disclaimer is added by default, so this article may or may not contain spoilers.
Local Map Toggle. A hidden shortcut for seamless dungeon exploration. The map in Oblivion Remastered is split into 2 parts, the world map and the local map. The main way to access the local map is by zooming in all the way while on the world map. The only problem with this is that if players exit the local map and then press the map hotkey again, they are taken to the world map instead, forcing them to zoom in again. Most of the time, this isn't an issue, but exploring dungeons or trying to find a specific house in a city gets very tedious very quickly. What the game doesn't tell players is that, on PC, they can use the toggle on the right corner of the world map screen to instantly go to the local map screen without having to zoom in. This toggle doesn't work on consoles, unfortunately, but console owners can reopen the local map after closing it by pressing the Start key, instead of D-pad down. Magic Skill Experience Gain. Magic XP is tied to Magicka cost. In the original Oblivion 2006, Magic Skill Experience gain was dictated by how many times a spell was cast. As a result, the most optimal strategy to power level any magic skill was to create a spell that required the least amount of Magicka possible so that it could be spammed to level the related skill in seconds. In Oblivion Remastered, this is no longer the case. Instead of the number of times a spell is cast, magic experience gain is directly proportional to how much Magicka a character spends. This makes high Magicka cost spells that can drain the entire bar in one cast the fastest way to level the relevant skills. Passive skill training. Watch and learn. A cool feature very few Oblivion Remastered players are aware of is that watching certain NPCs at certain times of the day can be used to passively train some skills. Watching 2 fighters practicing their swordsmanship, for example, may level up the blades skill, or watching 2 arena combatants practicing their hand-to-hand combat increases the relevant skill. This is not repeatable, meaning it cannot be used as a substitute for the actual leveling grind. Additionally, only certain NPC interactions have this feature. One can be found in the Cloud Ruler Temple, and another in the Imperial City Arena. Permanent bound gear. Making bound items last forever. There are 3 types of rune stones spread out across the map in Oblivion Remastered: Hestrar, Riemann, Sidria Shack. Upon activation, each type of rune stone will gift the player with 2 pieces of bound gear. If the bound gear's durability is lowered, by taking damage or using weapons, and a repair hammer is used on it, it becomes possible to go to the inventory and drop it on the ground. Dropped bound gear turns into regular items that persist forever. The only problem with this strategy is that half of the gear obtained classifies as heavy armor, while the rest falls under the light armor category. This impacts not only the defenses the gear provides but also the spell effectiveness impact from wearing it.
Thanks for watching. Please sub and like to support future content. Linktree in description to support social. Like, subscribe, and comment any games you want to know more about. Help me build this channel, so I can afford an editor, and start making gameplay and tutorial videos.
Racism impacts gameplay. Reputation isn't just about fame. Much of how the NPCs in the world will react to the player character is decided at the character creation screen, because the race a character picks in Oblivion Remastered has a huge impact on how the residents of Cyrodiil perceive them. An orc, for example, will find that most NPCs will deride them with scathing remarks when they first talk to them, give bad prices during transactions, and have a lower base disposition than normal. This is due to the inherent racism most races have towards orcs. On the other hand, Imperials will have a much easier time because the story's setting is Cyrodiil, the central stronghold of the Imperial race. While this impact can be mitigated with a higher speechcraft skill and gaining fame by doing quests, it's still something the game doesn't expressly state, making new players often confused about why random passers-by on the street hate them so much. Restore Magicka with the Atronach birth sign. Infinite Magicka with a little spell absorption trick. The Atronach offers players 150 extra Magicka and 50% spell absorption, making it one of the most powerful birth signs in Oblivion Remastered. To balance this, the player character's Magicka regeneration is 0, meaning they have to rely on potions of sorcery, Welkind stones, or allied wells to refill their Magicka. This is definitely doable, but it can be a hassle, especially in the early game. What the game doesn't tell players is that there is a special interaction with spell absorption and the telekinesis spell that makes it so that if telekinesis is cast, the casters absorb Magicka ability triggers, recovering Magicka. At 100 mysticism and 100 spell absorption, this method has a 100% success rate, allowing Atronach mage characters to easily refill their Magicka bar in seconds, which ends up being even faster than traditional regeneration. Unkillable followers. Immortal allies make tough battles easier. In Oblivion Remastered, there are 3 types of followers players can recruit: essential, non-essential, and respawning. Most are non-essential, which means that if their health bar drops to 0, they die permanently. As a result, they make for terrible combat companions, especially at higher difficulties. Essential followers are immortal, and when their health drops to 0, they merely enter a downed state instead of dying. Unfortunately, all essential followers are locked to certain quests, leaving after their quest if completed. Respawning followers work the same way as non-essential ones, but after they die, they respawn after a certain duration and return to the player's side. This makes them suitable helpers in combat as their deaths are not permanent. Wrist irons. The most underrated item for mags. Wrist irons are a part of the default starting equipment for all characters in Oblivion Remastered. For mage characters, this is one of the most important items in the game. The reason this is the case is because wrist irons are considered wrist clothing, the only armor piece of this type, and like all clothing, they can be enchanted. There are other armor pieces that equip this slot, but none of those qualify as clothing. In Oblivion Remastered, all armor, whether it's light or heavy, reduces a character's spell effectiveness. Clothing does not. For players who have thrown away this item without knowing its value, there are other spots to obtain wrist irons in the game.
The Elder Scrolls IV, Oblivion Remastered. Released, April 22, 2025. Developed by Infinity Ward, and Raven Software. Available on PC, Xbox One, Android, iOS, PS4, Switch. Released on March 10, 2020. ESRB rating, M for mature.